Hello, this is Chala Dincoy, CEO and founder of The Repositioning Expert. Welcome to another edition of my podcast, Naked Marketing, where neither of us are actually naked, but Jim is actually going to be honest and get naked with his marketing. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, so good. So tell us what you do and who you help.
Yeah, so imagine you're a founder, CEO, and you've built a really strong company and by all measures have achieved a lot of success. You're hitting some targets but missing others, and you really just believe that there's this opportunity to grow and then sell your business for much more than it's worth today. After all, you started this company to create a legacy, and you're looking for people that can help and that are looking to also align their performance and your business growth goals with their fees. Which doesn't really exist in the market, at least not that we've found until we started existing. And that's really what we've built at Orchid Black, which is a value creation firm that's helping founders to unlock value and growth within their business on the path towards exiting and executing alongside of them to make sure that we all win.
That's awesome. So how did you get into this?
Oh man, long story short, I've got a couple decades, ever since I was 15 in my family business, focused on really all things growth. Started off on M&A growth, ultimately drove towards general organic sales and marketing growth. All things kind of coincided for me when around growth stage companies, when I was on the venture capital side and saw how many companies were both failing after investment, 95% usually, and also not getting invested in with an even stronger failure rate, and saw that there was this opportunity for a firm to exist that focused on companies that weren't venture capital backed, had a lot of growth challenges of their own, which is why they were not able to get some of the capital opportunity that existed in the market, but had really built some solid businesses. They might not be the 100Xers, but they definitely had potential of 5 or 10X. And a lot of these companies don't always have the most cash on hand, but they do have the opportunity to partner for equity or partner for some cash. And that's really where our model came in, which is looking for those companies that we can help the most. Typically, we'll only take someone on if we can together create about 50% at least year over year value within the business. So if it's 3 years together, we'll turn that business from say 20 million into at least 50 million. And that's a pretty strong value proposition. And we're really good at what we do. So excited to help other founders do what we learned over the years.
So what was the family business?
Not technology. It was distribution. There was a lot of really awesome lessons learned from it. A lot of really, not necessarily marketing lessons learned from it, but a lot of other lessons learned, and led me to technology, a little bit more innovative, a little bit more focused on disrupting the marketplace, if you will. And that's really where I learned most of my marketing lessons learned, if you will, was really both as an operator, consultant, and founder within technology businesses. And boy, do I have a ton of those.
Well, we're going to get to those. That's great. You are ready and willing to get naked. So let me just ask before we get there, how do you find your clients right now?
Yeah, so to date, the majority of our clients we found through referral. As you can imagine, with the value proposition that we have and that we focus on, it's very intimate. Companies, founders opening up their entire business from the tech to the marketing to the sales, really everything. So that trusted referral has been really important to us, whether those are attorneys or bankers or investors, someone that's really already got the trusted ear of these technology company founders. We really navigated around what we were going to do next as it related to going beyond the referral, if you will, right? Because we do have a very special sale. It is very exclusive, very boutique, if you will. And ultimately, we tried a lot of experiments of our own, mostly with trying to bring in demand generation experts, really focused on kind of that core, growth, if you will, that really true growth strategy. a lot of failed experiments along the way. And ultimately, we took this step back and looked at the really real, I'll call it dodgy old attorney or private equity feeling brand that we had in the market at the time. Mm-hmm. And ultimately realized it wasn't a demand generation issue. It was really a brand strategy and general, brand focused, right, around what we needed to do and who we were serving and the message we were bringing into the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So from everything from our ICP, our ideal customer profile, through our, brand and image and mission and vision and everything, and all the way through to the innovative entrepreneurs that we serve, we evolved into this Orchid Black brand, right, which is really focused on finding a promising business like any prized exotic orchid, right? This true value can emerge with expert pruning and care to cultivate growth and accelerate value creation. And that oftentimes needs experts because when properly nurtured, orchids and companies can thrive. And that's really what we kind of coincided to be really that Orchid Black brand, which the black is also a bit exclusive and helps signify that we focus on companies that are cash flow positive or already in the black. So all those things really kind of, coincided to drive this innovative, real great brand to the surface, which has now unlocked the ability for us to really drive demand generation and growth beyond the referrals, right? Really focused on that end perfect ICP that fits, what we're doing in the market and the growth that we're looking to achieve. So it was really, really, I'll call it transformational, if you will, experience around amplification in the marketplace.
Well, congratulations. Now I'm dying to find out, in this new reality, how do you find clients over and above, the Rolodex?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So our content and thought leadership is really our starting point, right? It's our fundamental reason for being who we are, is what we can bring and what we can do in the market. So why not talk about it? Why not talk about the insights that we have around growing companies? Why not talk about the services and solutions that we're bringing to the marketplace that are very unique? And ultimately, why not provide this great knowledge of all of our 30 operating partners on the team who have 20 or 30 years experience working in and operating and leading technology companies? And so that's really where it started, with a fundamental content strategy, connecting to that messaging, connecting to that ICP. And if you look on our website, right, if you go to orchid.black, there is a fundamental knowledge transfer that can happen, and that does happen, that drives a lot of our awareness and consideration that ultimately will drive people towards a conversion and working with us. So it's newer, it's fresh, right? We are only about a year old since the new Orchid Black brand emerged, and really only about 3 months into some of our marketing or demand gen efforts. But we are already starting to see the results of that seeding, if you will, of content strategy and thought leadership. It's been very cool to see.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, being a marketing strategist myself, the biggest issue isn't the reposition, it's the outreach. So, that's where usually it falls apart, right? I mean, you've got this great content. It's all, it's passive, right? Great. It's out there. Yes, you and I are doing this podcast, but again, it's passive. So where it usually falls apart for my clients is in the outreach. That's where it has to translate and then convert. So I'm really curious. I'll be curious to see how it goes for you guys in the months moving up.
Well, there's seeding, right? Which is kind of that content strategy. These things take time to develop, right? SEO, content strategy, things like that. And then there's true demand generation, or nets, if you will, paid ads, things along, true traditional marketing campaigns. So we're now starting to augment with some of those nets to help drive, people from to the content, from a content distribution perspective, for one, but also really kind of capture some new opportunity that's a little bit less seed a little bit more focused for the short term, to help balance out that those seeds, just like seeds, do take a little bit of time to grow into orchids or plants or whatever that growth is. So that's been a big part of it. And then finally, you've kind of got your seeds, your nets, and your spears. Spears, I think, is probably more of what you're talking about around that, outbound demand generation, whether that's through a marketing development rep, or a BDR, business development rep, SDR, sales development rep. All of these things kind of coincide towards driving that sales and marketing strategy. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. So I'm dying to hear about these mistakes. So tell me the most expensive marketing mistake that you made along the way.
Oh man. For me, it usually starts with talent in terms of where we've made the most expensive mistakes, because that's typically where your highest costs are. It was really 2019, and we were routing out our second year in business, if you will, late 2019. We had some wins, and ultimately we're presented with a bunch of roadblocks and obstacles, one of which was we're on our third now marketing person, connecting back to that brand strategy that I mentioned, really going through the demand generation obstacles. And those costly mistakes of talent are not only costly if you select the wrong people, but also if you are not driving the people in the most efficient and leadership oriented way as possible. And no matter what you say, leadership is not management, right? They're very different. And true leaders are inspiring and driving their team forward. And ultimately, I was not being that inspirational leader, which was part of the problem with marketing. I was hiring the right people, but then being overbearing around what I thought needed to get done. I was not allowing them to kind of really come to the forefront and shine. And ultimately, a lot of that was connected to trust that had been evolved, if you will, over the years with marketing, that I had hired so many wrong people that I just had doubts of anyone I brought in. Part of it was the founder burnout that I was experiencing. And ultimately, a big part of that kind of turning point was not just the brand strategy, the reinvention of the brand, if you will, but also me getting an executive coach and taking care of my own burnout, which we all see as founders and CEOs. We just don't talk about it because we think we have to be superhuman, but we're human, right? So I think that was the most expensive mistake I made, ironically, is all my fault, not on spend, but on not allowing people to shine that I've hired to do really great jobs and really great talent. And that's a hard lesson to learn, and something that I think everyone can have as a takeaway, because it happens the most in marketing from what I've seen, because everyone thinks they're a marketer.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty damn naked of you. So I'll give you, I'll acknowledge you for taking.
Forgot we were live for a second.
It's like a reality show, right? Like the Kardashians. But no, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. However, that I've worked for 18 years for Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay in their marketing department, sales and marketing. And what I saw was that a lot of the people, even in the higher echelons, didn't understand strategy. So I wouldn't take all the blame, because and I was stunned, right? I was stunned. And for sure, the businesses that you and I work with understand it even less, right? In terms of strategy. I mean, they think they can hire the tradesmen to do the blueprint for the house, right? They're asking the painters and the contractors to do the blueprint of the house, like when they're hiring SEO experts or their website webmaster. And it's about, finding out what the market needs and finding the gap in the market, and then positioning yourself to the gap, and then messaging it with their words of pain. So that's like, it took me like decades of doing it with the top of every, industry leader in their industry, to now be able to sell that knowledge to people. So I don't blame you for not being able to find it in at a smaller scale, and I wouldn't take all the blame. But So I'm curious again, you work with so many businesses. What is the number one marketing mistake that they're making that you see?
Yeah,
Is it the
that's
same?
a that's a great question, because there's several, and they fit into either pre-product market fit or post-product market fit. But ultimately, the number one that both make on the pre-product market fit and post-product market fit is essentially really, how do we say, not focusing on their niche or nailing their niche, if you will. And even if they nailed it, veering off of it because they have an opportunity or there's excitement around something and they know that this is going to work. All right. And ultimately, obscurity kills businesses, especially in the world I live in, which is technology. And you've got to be hyper targeted. It's got to start from a manifesto or a strategic narrative, if you will. And it doesn't really matter what stage of the business you're at. You've got to nail that niche. There's got to be an essence for being that goes beyond your product, beyond just simple marketing. And it nails your ICP or your ideal customer profile and explains what you do and why anyone should care and take action now and all those things that are the who, what, and how to capitalize, that connect back to humans, because every conversion funnel, right, is human behavior. You need to be aware, you've got to consider something, and you've got to convert it, right? Buy it, or whatever you want to call it. That funnel exists. I don't care what anyone tells you. The funnel is not dead, right? Like a lot of people will say. And if they're saying it is, that means that they're probably trying to sell you something. So watch out. And that strategic narrative is so important towards driving that funnel, whether you use it at the top of the funnel in the awareness stage or as part of consideration or both. And that is something that I see almost every company make, is not being hyper focused and not leveraging a narrative to drive that focus.
I love it. Well, you know what, folks, for those of you who are watching, I have not planted this comment. I actually have a program called Nail Your Niche. So I just,
Wow.
yeah, because I'm a niching coach. So I just want to let everyone know that this was not a plant. I did not pay him. He is speaking of free will.
That is 100% accurate. I can validate that.
True. Yeah, I could not agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Awesome. So how do people get in touch with you, Jim?
Yeah, so I have office hours every week now to really talk to people who are either, whether they're looking for some personal life growth and just want to talk to a founder who's been there, or they're looking for business growth and maybe our team can help, maybe somebody else can. I would love to talk to you. You can find me at either jb@orchid.black, my initials jb@orchid.black, or on LinkedIn at Grow Smart, Grow Fast. And I am, more than happy to help any of you out and see if I can point you in the right direction, whether that's Chala, myself, or somebody else. So really great to hopefully spend some time with someone on this call. That's really the value that I'm trying to add to the market. So
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Jim.
Yes, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it, Chala.